The following program is being presented to you by a community producer. The statements, views, and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of ALC TV or the City of Avon Lake.
Hi, welcome to Aging Gracefully, where seniors are celebrated and growing old is appreciated and respected. My name is Catherine Eyring. I live in Avon Lake, Ohio. You might see me around town as I teach seniors strength and balance in Avon Lake, also in Bay Village. And I've also done senior yoga, and I'm a health coach. So I have so many ways that I have been able to be around wonderful aging adults. And I have the opportunity today to spotlight someone who is not really a senior, not even near that category, but you've been able to work with plenty of aging adults in this area. So welcome Susan Poole with CRS, also known as Community Resource Services.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks
for
being
having
here.
me. Thanks.
So let's talk first off about CRS, what it is, and who you serve. Give us a little background on that, if you would.
Sure. Well, we were founded in 1988, so we are celebrating our 30-year anniversary this year. The original idea for CRS came about when just a small group of volunteers identified that there were some people in town in Avon Lake struggling financially, and that they didn't always know where to go to get services, whether or not they were government or private services. So they kind of put their heads together and said, maybe we should form this organization as a clearinghouse, kind of a one-stop shop, where to go to get information. In the beginning, it was just information, volunteers, and referral. But over the last 30 years, we've been able to, I would say, establish ourselves as the primary social service agency, serving both Avon and Avon Lake now. We grew from being all volunteer to now having 5 paid staff people, 4 part-time and 1 full-time. And luckily, because we're so supported by the community, we are now able to do a lot of the things that we used to refer out to people. So, in the beginning, we would have to refer to, say, Salvation Army for rent assistance. Now we have our own, the ability to provide rent assistance on our own sometimes. So we're really grateful for all the support that we get. Service-wise, we serve low-income households. We qualify that at 175% of the poverty level. So since we're talking about seniors today, just to give you an idea, it's about $21,240 a year for a single-family household. So anyone making that or below would qualify for our financial services program. Okay. We do food. Food is our primary service. We also can help with things like rent, utilities, auto repair, prescription costs. We have a couple seasonal programs that we help with, one going on right now, back to school program, and then also during the holidays we have a big holiday program as well.
That is wonderful. And I just want to say, because I like the idea of sharing this information. So if somebody would be afraid to go for help, let me just say that when you told me that you've been around 30 years, I said, oh, I must have been one of your first customers. Because 30 years ago, I had so much assistance from CRS. As far as the school supplies for my boys, and once in a while, some food. I was well aware of you when I was younger and was raising my boys on my own. So I guess I'm a testament to your services and how wonderful it is.
Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. I mean, everything we do is held in the strictest of confidence. We never want people to feel like we would ever share their stories.
Right.
So you sharing your
But
story
I can tell.
really, really means a lot. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So I would hate the thought of somebody feeling too proud to go. If you need the help, it's there. And that's the beauty of it.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit more about seniors specifically today,
Okay.
because I think they're just a little bit different than the rest of the population. They're not in a period of transition, maybe not just between jobs, not just trying to get the kids off to school. It's different.
Agreed. And just to give you an idea of how many senior households we served last year, 155 between the two communities. So there definitely is a need in the communities of Avon and Avon Lake for senior services. And you're absolutely right about them being a little different. A lot of what we do daily is try to help people figure out a way to get back on their feet, because anyone at any level at any time in their lives could need help, you know. And it's hard to ask for help. So a lot of times we'll sit down with someone and say, okay, what do we need to do to get you back on your feet? Maybe you haven't worked in a while. Maybe you need to apply for food stamps. Maybe you need to go back to school and hopefully get a higher paying job. Seniors really don't fall into any of those categories. They're living on a fixed income. Most of our seniors really can do just fine on the income that they're living. You know, they have a budget. They know how to live within that budget. But we all know how budgeting happens and how life can happen. And so what happens if a senior who has all of their little, you know, squares in their Excel spreadsheet, or maybe their envelopes, however they budget, I've seen people budget with envelopes still, their car breaks down, they need new tires, their furnace breaks, something big happens.
Leaks,
right. What do you do? Because all of a sudden you're making a choice between paying for a large expense and putting food on your table, or paying your rent, or paying your utilities. So what happens then? And so that's where I hope anyone in that situation finds their way to us, whether it's through a neighbor or a church, or someone knows about us that can say, there's this agency that might be able to help. Oftentimes we can't help with the entire amount of, you know, we couldn't buy someone a new furnace, for instance, but we might be able to pull together enough funds from our funds, from other funds. We actually have a senior assistance fund that we have been lucky to get from the Community Foundation of Lorraine County for the last several years. So we are able to have designated senior funding through that program, so that when we have a situation like that, we can take a look at how much is in there and say, okay, what can we help with? Who can we partner with? Maybe there's a government assistance program out there. There are some county programs for air conditioners, you know, in the summertime. Who knew that?
Yeah,
you know,
we wouldn't even know if you
Right.
weren't there
Right.
to give us these resources, these referrals. I remember we were talking once, and you mentioned too that sometimes the senior might even have adult children, and you are aware of it, and yet, you know, it has to remain separate. And sometimes the adult children actually have no idea that mom or dad could use some help.
Yes, and we see different scenarios. Sometimes, you know, we have a lot of dialogue with our seniors, and sometimes we'll learn along the way that maybe they have an out-of-town relative, or maybe they have an in-town relative, but they're either embarrassed to ask for help, they're not comfortable asking for help, or maybe they don't have anyone of means to help. You know, they don't want to. A lot of times we hear, oh, I don't want to be a burden on my children. I don't want to be a burden.
And it's a sense of pride.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, there have been many times where we've had to have that hard conversation where we've said, you know, if there is anybody else that you can reach out to, this is bigger than us, we're going to have that conversation. But I'll never forget when I first started at CRS, Christmas time is very, very special there. And it was a blustery day, and I was running through the parking lot, and I met a senior, and she was just so sweet. And she said to me something about, I'm so glad I can come here for my Christmas gifts for my grandchildren, because I was going to give up my groceries this week so that I could buy them something nice. And I mean, I was so taken aback, like, the fact, but I get it. I mean, I'm a parent. I understand we want to provide for our children, and she didn't want to not come on Christmas morning with something for her kids, but she really couldn't afford it. She really couldn't. So it's stories like that that really, kind of keep us doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And, so.
And I remember those days too well. I do remember those decisions. I remember you have a food drive for Thanksgiving. And I thought to myself, we don't have much here, but I know there's people who have less. And I gathered up what I could, and I donated it. And we were one of the families on the recipient list, and I had no idea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that just kind of gives me chills. But yeah, it was a rough time. But so I really have compassion for the seniors that feel like, it's not like when I get this better job and when I get out of this situation, it's going to be better. They might feel more stuck.
Yes, right.
So I want them to feel free to reach out. But it also gave me a lot of thoughts as far as in the community, what we can do, that we might actually have never even thought, how is mom and dad doing? Maybe I should ask a little bit more of them and question, because it seems like there are many people who really just don't have the awareness that their parents are in bad shapes. But what about the neighbors? If you were to think about people in the neighborhood, maybe there's a little bit more that we could do that we just haven't thought about.
Right.
We think about this beautiful community here by the water and everybody's doing so well, but there's a lot that goes unnoticed, I think.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of different groups doing things to help seniors locally and at the county level. But I see what you're saying in that there could be gaps that could be filled and maybe a more concerted effort. We try, one of our big jobs at CRS is to know about where we can refer people. Like Lorain County Office on Aging, we do a lot of referrals out there. If somebody wants Meals on Wheels, that's where they would go. And we get probably 1 or 2 calls for that a month that we would send people out there. But, and I see the schools, the school I think still does that senior prom that they've done for several years, where they have the high schoolers put on a dance for senior citizens, which I think is super cool. There's this Tech Connect program out there where people from the high school can help senior citizens with figure out their cell phones, figure out their technology. I mean, I feel like I need to go there,
the iPad,
right,
things like this.
Yeah. But where's the clearinghouse for all that information? Where is the place that says if I'm a senior? And there is a website called 211 Lorain County, which you can sort by senior services. So, but
But first you have to
know to go there. Right. Yeah. Right.
You're right, and have access.
Correct. Yeah.
To know how to use the internet. So what would you say to community and the viewers that are watching? Is there something other than what we've mentioned that maybe we should be more aware of that's available, or how we can be more helpful to you or to others?
Yeah, and it's really just a personal observation. I mean, we're all going to be seniors someday, as long as we have our health, right? We're all going to be there. And I always try to remember how do I think I'm going to feel and what am I going to need? There are times if there's a snowstorm and there's one of our senior clients that needs shoveling and they're in their house. We should be aware of where the seniors in our neighborhood are living, so that if you haven't seen somebody come out for a while, maybe somebody should do a check. And again, there's opportunity there, I think, for a concerted effort. I had a dear friend of mine a couple of years ago had said maybe we should have a phone kind of tree where we follow up on seniors that aren't connected to other people. And there are people in town that do that. Like I know there are churches that have, people that are specifically assigned to pay attention to the seniors. But what if you're not connected to a church? So I just think to be a good neighbor in, like you said, this beautiful community, keeping an eye out for our neighbors and making sure that if there's someone that lives on your street that looks like they might need a little help it can't hurt to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody wants help, but it can't hurt to ask.
Mm-hmm. Invite them over for dinner. Take them an extra meal.
Yeah.
Kind of
Bring their mail in on a blustery day.
Open up the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that sounds great. So this last month, too, I've had some opportunities to have fun with seniors. If you've seen my blog, which I think you have, we even had an 82-year-old gentleman up on a rope course. Some fun. It was very safe. Fun and exciting. So I'm just wondering, too, how often you see the seniors you're involved with having fun, and if maybe that's something, too, that they might be lacking, or that we can be looking for opportunities, too, to match them up with some fun things.
Some fun things. I think I probably see seniors laughing and smiling more than I do having fun. But I can honestly say, you know, the expressions of gratitude that we receive in our office on a regular basis are very heartwarming. And sometimes it's for something like, thank you for helping me with my vision appointment or my new glasses. But oftentimes it's just, thanks for listening, you know. And I, you know, can hear the people in my office interacting with seniors. They'll just have someone in their office telling a story about their day or their children or their grandchildren. And then when they get up to leave, can I give you a hug? You know, and there's just a lot of simple pleasures in life that sometimes nowadays, in my opinion, we forget about.
Right.
But listening to stories is very important. It's for seniors to share their story. It's very, very important. And I really do believe that they appreciate it when someone takes the time to just sit down with them and give them a hug, hold their hand, lend their shoulder, you know, that sort of thing. So I don't know about if that's fun, but it's very uplifting.
Good. It's a happy thing.
It is a happy thing.
And before I forget, too, so we've talked a lot about CRS, but where is it located? Let's put that out there. How would somebody find you?
So we are located, I'm so used to saying behind the post office. For a very long time, we were behind the post office.
You just recently moved.
We recently moved, and now I guess would be a time I should say thank you very much to our landlord, the Pattons, Tom and Tommy Patton, and also Eyring Movers. They helped move us, and then helped move us, they moved us entirely. We moved only across the plaza, so we moved from behind the post office to on Lake Road.
More visible, for
More
sure.
visibility. And when I tell people, oh, we just moved across the plaza, they think that wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal. It was a big production. And so we're getting settled, and we're having a community open house on September 9th, just because I truly believe that we couldn't exist without this community. I mean, from all the people that support us, and they need an opportunity to come see what all of this goodwill has created. And our space is pretty cool. I'm very proud of it.
That's wonderful. And September 9th, at what time is this
4
open
o'clock.
house?
So
At
there's
4
some other
o'clock.
things going on in the plaza that time too, so it's going to be a fun afternoon. So.
Okay. Well, there's another business in the plaza, same as you. It's Sapori Grill, and they happen to be the sponsors for this week's show. And I am able to hand you a $20 certificate so that you can share that with a senior.
Thank you.
And let them enjoy a nice dinner over there.
That's wonderful. Thank you, and thank you, Sapori.
Yeah. So let's go on to Susan's best advice. So this would be after having been with so many seniors, helping them. And by the way, I've seen you even come to tears. You're so compassionate and caring. And that's part of what I love about you.
Oh, thank you.
So I know you've learned a lot from the seniors you've been around. So let me ask you a few questions. What do you think gets a lot of seniors out of bed in the morning, gives them motivation to live another day?
Purpose. And it can be something simple, like today I'm getting my hair done, or today I'm going to the grocery store, but they need to have a purpose. I mean, we all do, right? So I don't think that changes as you get older.
Yeah. I think it's great when they have something on the calendar at all the time, something to look forward to. So after being around all these seniors, what would you say about what you've learned for us to live life fully Has it changed your attitude about living?
It definitely has. I see the importance of living a healthy lifestyle and keeping a positive mental attitude for sure. I can just tell the people that are happier in their golden years if they have their health. And if they don't, it can be very traumatic and troubling and challenging. So, and the population I serve, they're struggling financially. So imagine struggling financially and physically at the same time. So I think anything that we can do to maintain our health is super important.
I agree. Well, you can get me started on that one. Yeah. And what do you think is the best the best medicine for heartbreak or loss?
Fellowship. I think having someone to share that heartbreak with, someone who will truly listen, and ideally someone who's been through it before. I'm a big proponent of support groups, going to meet other people who've suffered the same heartbreak that you have.
That expression, misery loves company.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something to that.
There is something to that.
Because of the support. Yeah. And how about this? Do you think you say, I love you enough? Is that something?
Me personally? For sure. I do.
Because I think that is something too that when you're around seniors and you understand that fragility of life that they live with, it makes you think about it as well. More mindful of every moment, right? Yeah, that's wonderful. How about you? Do you have a goal age to live toward?
I don't think I've ever thought about the age or the number, because I don't like to think about numbers to begin with.
Okay.
I just feel like as long as I have my health and a positive mental attitude, I just hope I can age gracefully with a positive mental attitude. So I don't really think about the number.
It's a fun question because so many people have had an age in mind throughout their whole life, and others hadn't thought about it much. So
it probably moves as you get older. Like when you were younger, you thought it was here, and now you're like, ooh.
Oh, I still feel really good. Let's just keep moving that up. Okay, ideas for how a community can help an older adult feel more valued. So not just in assistance financially, monetarily, but how they can really feel important still.
I think giving seniors an opportunity to serve in roles that are valued. And, we can learn a lot from seniors. We need the history.
Right.
So connecting seniors with different generations and making sure that it's not just providing services, but allowing engagement and making them feel, important and valued. Sometimes I worry that gets lost in such a crazy world that we have going on right now. But again, reminding ourselves, we will all be seniors someday.
Yes.
So how will we want to be living? Will we want to be just someone's obligation to check in on? Or will we want to be valued for our experience, our wisdom, and our stories? And, my parents are seniors, and I'll admit that sometimes when I go over there with my kids, they'll start to tell the stories, and we all kind of go, ooh, here we go. But you know what? I really do embrace the history. I do.
Right. And so perfect segue, you mentioned the intergenerational relationships. Yes, I love this, and I love seeing more of this. For the viewers, by the way, if anyone knows of a teacher that would like me to bring in a senior, I have plenty of seniors that love going into classrooms just to read books, just to be able to have that young energy around them as well. Do you have possibly any other ideas, or can you keep that in mind as well?
Just I will definitely keep it in mind because I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's fun for the children. To me, I think when the young children are able to associate with older adults, they have a different appreciation.
Yes.
And maybe even an openness toward their value, and that they can be fun to be around.
Right.
So.
And even though it's not involving children, most of my volunteers are senior citizens. And I see that sense of purpose. You know, they, one day a week, they're in there packing groceries, they're working my front desk, they're, you know, doing odd jobs. And I think they get excited to come there because, you know, they want to be involved in the community. So.
And I did not know that.
Yep.
We hadn't talked about that before. And wow, that is wonderful
Probably
to know.
about 20 regulars, I would say, 20 to 25 regulars. So, yeah.
That's great. So any of the viewers, if they wanted to volunteer too, they could give you a call.
Yes.
And maybe they could help out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Last question. What do you think would be the best gift to give to an older adult?
That's an easy one. Time.
Thank you.
Time spent.
I agree. I think that is my most common answer. That's what they want. Just time.
Yep.
And you mentioned listening. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And for our viewers, if you enjoyed this program or have any questions, you can call CRS directly. You can also email me and I would be happy to connect you and answer any questions. I do have a new website at aginggracefully.tv where we've got some conversations going on there as well. And if you would like to be spotlighted or you know somebody else that you think would be good on this show, just feel free to let me know. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
The preceding program was presented to you by a community producer. The statements, views, and opinions expressed were not necessarily those of ALC TV or the City of Avon Lake.